All right, what's up, guys and girls? How's it going? I am Is There No One Else, bringing you a Stam Dk PvP build for the Wrathstone patch. Now, before I dive into this, I wanted to talk a little bit about my DK. I've had a red guard DK for the last 2.5, 3 years. This has been one of my favorite characters because as I was coming up through the ranks to the CP ranks and I needed to get gear. If I wanted to do VDSA and we needed a tank, I'd hop on this character and I'd switch over to my tank gear and I'd tank. If we needed to do, Hell Raw, I would do that. If we needed me to DPS DSA, I would do that. I used to complete Vet Maelstrom on this all the time when I was trying to get after that pesky sharpened maul. Because not many people were completing VMA on a Dragon Knight, and so it would always give me a weekly reward. So I've always enjoyed playing the DK for PvE. I've always, for the last 2 years, I've essentially run the same build, and I've always updated it over the patches. I didn't come up with an update last patch, but with the changes to the Wrathstone patch, I wanted to check to see if I should be changing races, if I should be doing all this stuff. Maybe I finally go away from trusty Redguard to something, that seems a little bit more sexy. Like maybe I go Nord, maybe I go Imperial, maybe I go Orc. But, before I made a rash decision, I decided that I was going to hop into PvP on my Redguard, and I was going to see how everything went. I wanted to see how it kind of played. And I'm not going to lie, guys, Redguard on a Stam DK is fucking awesome. It is really, really good. So I'm going to keep my Redguard Stam DK. My other Argonian that I made into a tank, I'll probably switch that one to a Nord and try out this build and another build as well. I have a couple DK builds coming out. This is my tried and true, what I normally like to run, an updated version. But we're going to dive into the gear, the consumables, the skills, the CP, and at the end I'm going to explain why Redguard's so good, why I like this build so much, yada yada yada. So let's dive into it. First thing we're going to go through is gear. So on our back bar, we are running the two-handed Maelstrom Battle Axe sharpened with a weapon and spell damage enchant. So this weapon you get from Vet Maelstrom Arena. The bonus is when you deal damage with critical charge, it does 8,880 physical damage over 5 seconds. It's a very nice physical damage over time effect when you apply your crit rush. I like the axe because the axe can also proc a bleed. We have a lot of dots on our 2H bar that we will use. So every time we light attack, we have a chance of proccing that bleed. And on top of that, we will also be proccing our weapon damage enchant on this back bar as well when we're applying our dots. Our 5-piece set we're running on the front bar, we're running 3 jewelry and sword and board of the 5-piece Deadly Strike set. This set was revamped for the Wrathstone patch. It's right here. 2-piece weapon damage, 3-piece weapon crit, 4-piece weapon damage, 5-piece. Increase the damage your physical, bleed, poison, and disease damage over time abilities do by 14%. So, my last build that I've been running for the last 2 years, guys, was Morgue Tong and Morgue Tong in the front bar with 5-piece 7th Legion. It's still a very good set and setup. Morgue Tong buffs your poison damage abilities by 10%. This buffs your poison damage by 14%, but it also adds damage to your physical, bleed, and disease. You only need it on the front bar, so any dots you apply on the back bar when you switch to your front will be buffed by this set. So, very effective. Your poison damage, poisons are also buffed by this set. So we're running double damage health poisons. It's nice pressure. It also is really nice to have that buffed by the Deadly Strike set. The other 2-piece monster set we're running is 2-piece Bloodspawn. I don't need to go into it too much. Ultigen, sustain, DKs do really well with Bloodspawn, preferably all in Impen. And then the final 5-piece Veiled Heritance, preferably all in Impen. I gotta transmute a few pieces. My shield, a couple pieces I'm missing Impen on here, which I will get in a couple days when the campaign ends. But like I said, I used to run 7th Legion. 7th Legion is still very effective. Veiled Heritance is also good, but it's offensive. So when you're applying your dots, this will keep your dot. Let me re-explain. Veiled Heritance is 2-piece weapon damage. 3-piece physical resistance, 4-piece weapon crit, 5-piece when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to increase your weapon damage by 386 for 5 seconds. With all of our damage over time effects, our potential axe bleeds, our light attack, heroic slash bash, all of that, we can have really good uptime on Veiled Inheritance. There's no cooldown. It lasts for 5 seconds, but it can continue to proc. And so with all the damage over time effects that we're running, with all the animation cancels that we will be running, we will have very good uptime on this set. Now, the only problem I've ever had with sets like 7th Legion and Fury is sometimes when you're fighting that tanky player and you're down to, you've killed 4 or 5 people and you're down to that last person and you go on the offensive to take them out and they go full defensive, they start kiting around trees, they start healing up. Your Fury procs will tick off, your 7th Legion will come off cooldown. Veiled Inheritance does not. You can stay on the offensive, you can keep applying pressure to that person, and you will always have that proccing. And so you don't have to worry about the other person doing damage to you so that you can do more damage to them. So that's where it's nice. You can absolutely run 7th Legion if you want to. It's still an amazing set, but I like Veiled Inheritance for that reason. As far as the enchants go, guys, we're running Robust with 2 weapon damage. Now, we are running Dubious Camera and Throne with this. You can run the other one that gives you health recovery, the other food. I have it. I'll explain it when I get there. Recovery is really good. You can honestly run 3 weapon damage. You can run infused weapon damage if you want more damage, or you can run dual stat food. That would be fine as well and keep the enchants where they are. Sustain is really, really good. So, as far as consumables goes, guys, like I said, I'm currently running Dubious. You can absolutely run this Braised Rabbit and keep it as is and you'll sustain just fine. Make your max health pool a little bit bigger. Make your max stam pool a little bit bigger, which is great. If you have the gold and you can afford it, Artaeum Takeaway Broth is fantastic. It's better than Dubious for the health recovery, so consider that. If you can't get it, Dubious is fine. As far as our skills go, we're running Resolving Vigor on the Sword and Board bar, Defensive Stance, Reverberating Bash, Fragmented Shield. This is going to be, our Earth and Heart ability that restores some stamina, gives us a small shield, but it also gives us Major Mending for 5.4 seconds. So this is going to coincide with our heal. Very effective. Heroic Slash. This is ulti-gen. This is also going to be our spammable that does good damage. We get this up to about somewhere around 8,000, 8K-ish, maybe a little bit over. Heroic Slashes, which is not bad. Most of our damage will be coming from damage over time effects, but this is our spammable that also gives us ulti-gen, which also gives us sustain. We're running Spell Wall on the front bar, so if we get focused by a bunch of people, we can use this. It reflects all projectiles for 7 seconds. Very nice oh shit ultimate. On the back bar, we're running Reverse Slice, Critical Rush, Rally, Noxious Breath, Venomous Claw, and Take Flight. Our CP, 44 in Warlord, 11 Siphoner, 59 Tenacity, 49 Mooncalf, 51 Shadow Ward, 33 Tumbling, 23 into Befoul, 47 into Blessed, 26 Master at Arms, 49 Mighty, 36 Piercing, 40 Precise Strike, 72 Thaumaturge, 48 Ironclad, 47 Resistant, blah blah blah. 49 into Hardy, 43 LA Defender. The disparity here is because, honestly, it's only 1%. It's not a big difference, but you want more points in a Hardy than LA Defender because the people that are going to be hitting you harder will be Stam classes. Stam's just burstier. 34 into Thick Skin, 49 into Quick Recovery. Now, you can adjust this green tree right here for however you want. If you want less points out of Tumbling and you want to put more into Block Casting or into Defile, that's fine. If you want to take points out of Mooncalf, that's more than fine and put them over there. That'll work. You want at least 1 point in the Siphoner. I have a few, and the reason that is because this is more of a dot-based build. We do have Burst. We have Burst to, honestly, if we catch a Sork or a Light Armor build with their shields down, we can two-shot them with our Leap and our Execute. If we catch a Stam build and they're not paying attention, we crit rush in, we can do the same thing to them too. We do have some burst, but against the tankier builds, it's nice having the Siphoner passive to reduce their recovery a little bit. We're just going to wear on people with this build in general. The longer the fight goes on, the better chance you are going to have to win the fight, essentially. So, that's the skills, that's the gear, that's the CP. As far as our Mundus Stone goes, we're running the Tower Mundus. 64 points in stamina. We are a red guard. These are our stats unbuffed. Now, 25k health in PvP, 11k magicka. We only are running one magicka ability, so this is fine. If you wanted to put on wings for open world PvP, switch to like Ozorga's Smoked Bear Hunch. That'll be a better food than what I'm currently running. It'll allow you to pop wings a little bit more. You'll only get off wings like once or twice currently. That's why I'm not running it. But if that's what you want to run, do that. 35k stamina, 2157 weapon damage. Keep in mind this is without rally. This is without Veiled Heritance, and this is without our weapon damage enchant on our 2H bar. So we have roughly 3500 weapon damage fully buffed with this build. I do need to switch a couple pieces over to Impen. You see my critical resistance is a little low at 2440. It will be, 2440 is not low, but it will be at 3k once those transmutes come in. It's more than fine. 20k resist, that's where we're going to stay at. When Bloodspawn goes up, we'll be at around 27, 28k resists. Yeah, we are not running. I do not run volatile armor on this build because I want the extra damage over time effects, because I want as many effects buffed by a deadly strike as possible. If you guys want to take one of the dots off and put volatile armor on, that's fine. That'll make you a little bit more tanky. This will not be buffed by deadly strike though. And I find that when you run defensive stance, it reduces the damage you take while blocking by 8%. It also reduces the cost of block by 8%. So I block a lot more of this. It allows me to do that. That's how I get away without running volatile. But if you want to run volatile, obviously it's an amazing skill. Up to you. Now, that's the gear. That's the skills. That's the CP. CP's up for your own personal opinion. Why do we run it this way? Now, personally, I've never been a fan of Dizzying Swing builds. Dizzying Swing misses a lot. It's really easy to telegraph. People can walk into you, and so the animation cancels. They can dodge roll it. Nightblades can cloak it. They can block it. If you run across a Magplar, they're just going to sit there and perma-block and Breathalyte it over and over and over again. And it's really, really frustrating and such a pain in the ass to deal with a block casting Magplar when you're trying to run Dizzying Swing. Dizzying Swing has a lot of problems. It's really fun. Like when you connect, it's so much fun to Dizzying Swing and leap on people, but it's just not reliable enough for me to want to run it in my kit for PvP. Now, if we're not going to do that, the sword and board spammables are underwhelming as well, but Heroic Slash is nice. It does enough damage, but where DKs really shine is their damage over time effects. You know, we have Noxious Breath and Venomous Claw, which are two very good effects. We can stack them with some more dots, and when we combine that with a decent spammable that we have with Heroic Slash, we have a build that really applies pressure to people. And then we also have our Defile with our CC with Reverberating Bash. So we're just going to apply dots to people, and we're just going to wear on them. The dots are just going to continue to tick. Deadly Strike is going to be buffing everything that we're running. It'll proc Veiled Heritance, so we'll have a lot more damage. We're going to have really good sustain with Heroic Slash. We're going to have really good sustain when we take damage with Bloodspawn. It all coincides very well together. Now, as far as the best races, like I said, you can run Imperial, you can run Orc, you can run Nord, you can run Redguard. I'm going to stick with the Redguard, and the reason that is if we dive into the racial passives really quickly, I already discussed them in another video. Please feel free to check it out. Everything I explained there on Redguard is applicable to this build. But reduce the cost of your weapon abilities by 8% and reduce the effectiveness of snares applied to you by 15%. This 8% is so effective on this build because just about everything we're running is a weapon ability. We also have 2,000 stamina with our conditioning passive, and Adrenaline Rush. When you deal direct damage, you restore 950 stamina. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. If we have 100% uptime on Adrenaline Rush, which never happens, that's roughly just under 200 more stamina recovery, guys. So the nice part about this is because we'll be block casting a lot, we don't get stamina recovery. We just get this when we deal direct damage. Our Noxious Breath, our Venomous Claw, Heroic Slash, our Crit Rush, and our Executioner all have direct damage aspects to them that can proc Adrenaline Rush. So when we're on the offensive, we will just constantly have this. Now, The martial training is amazing for this, like I said, because this is a weapon ability, heroic slashes. It reduces the cost of our spell wall, which is also nice, so we'll be able to get our shield ultimate back, reduce the cost of reverberating bash, and defensive stance, so if we need to be defensive and reflect projectiles back, we can do that more. On our back bar, it reduces the cost of this, it reduces the cost of critical rush, rally, and it doesn't reduce the cost of Noxious Breath and Venomous Claw, but as you guys know, these are two of the cheapest skills in the game. 1676 for Noxious Breath, 838 for Venomous Claw. So we have cheap abilities here, and then all of our weapon abilities are 8% cheaper. So Heroic Slash is typically kind of on the more expensive side. Now it's a pretty easy to sustain spammable now at 2376. So all this reduced cost for all these skills with the Adrenaline Rush passive coincide to make Red Guards very easy to sustain and also really easy to survive with Spell Wall. Yeah, so that's why I'm sticking with the Red Guard. If you ran the 2H ult, it would reduce the cost of that as well. If you ran Dizzying Swing, it would reduce the cost of that. That's not for this build, that's for something else. How we're going to run this, guys, on the back bar, you know, let's say we're in open world PvP, and this is our mortal enemy that's teabagged us 20 times in a row. What we're going to do is we're going to crit rush in, light attack claw, light attack breath, weapon swap. We're going to do light attack, heroic slash, bash, and then when they're around half health, we will reverb them, we will weapon swap, light attack, and leap. And so the reason we're doing this, guys, and the reason this is so effective is a lot of people are very anti-dots sometimes because they're like, well, Templars can purify it all, you know, all this. So when we dive through our dots, we have a crit rush dot, which can also proc an axe bleed, which is 2 damage over time effects. When we hit with this, that's 3. When we hit with this, that's a 4th dot plus major fracture. When we switch bars and we light attack, heroic slash, bash, our poison is 2 more dots, which is 6. Our heroic slash is a snare, if I remember correctly, and then it's a snare, which is 7. When we reverb, we put major defile on them, which is 8. We have the siphoner passive, which is 9. What was the last one? Essentially we have 12 debuffs on this build, guys. And so yes, Purify purifies 5 debuffs or damage over time effects. If a Templar wants to sit here and purify everything that we're applying to them, they can go right ahead. We're just going to wear them down anyways. So if you're going to sit there and you're going to try and like purify, we're going to whittle your health. If you're going to sit there and you're going to try and heal, you're dealing with all of these damage over time effects buffed by Deadly Strike, and it's just going to wear on your resources, and eventually you know, we're going to hit you with this reverb that's going to put you on the ground, or you're going to be out of resources, and we're just going to leap on you and we're going to execute you. So this is how I get by without having to run Dizzying Swing. I really like this setup. This is, like I said, the skills are the same skills I've been running for the last 2 years. I adjusted the gear because some better gear came out. Red Guard sustains so fucking well. Like I said, I mean, with a pot, if we pop our pot, we buff with Rally. On our front bar, we're at 2774 weapon damage, fully buffed, with Veiled Heritance, with the weapon damage enchant on our back bar. What is that? That's roughly 3,500. We have about 3,500 weapon damage and 35k maximum stamina on this build. So our damage over time effects, our bleeds, all that are going to be very effective. 1,500 recovery on a DK with this much reduced cost with Bloodspun is also very effective. Yeah. So that's the build, guys. If you guys have any comments, please provide it in the section below. I will be coming out with another DK build. I'm putting the finishing touches on it. Quick timeline for this weekend for me. I'm going to post my updated Magplar build hopefully today. I'm going to post a snipe build and commentary this weekend, and then I'm going to compile the clips for this specific build and show a commentary to you hopefully by Monday. So yeah, like I said, if you guys have any comments about this build, any improvements that you could potentially see, please let me know. I really like this type of playstyle. I like how well-rounded it is. We're tanky, we have good survivability, we have good sustain, and we just, you know, wear on people. So Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.